say about Barack is they say, Barack, you're trying to do too much at the same time. Healthcare and energy. Why aren't you just focusing on the economy? Well, I found that George W. Bush was able to multitask pretty well over the course of his 8 years. You know, and all at the same time, he was able to get us into not one but 2 wars. He was able to drive our economy into the ditch. He was able to make us more addicted to foreign oil. And he was able to double the price of healthcare in this country, all at the same time. I think our man can multitask as well. He can walk and chew gum at the same time. You know, this is a terrible joke. Somebody was told us. You remember when Jerry Ford? They said, Jerry Ford, you can't walk and chew gum at the same time. Remember that? Then Johnny Carson said, you know what the Fords use for birth control? They give Jerry bubble gum. But look, seriously, what I love about the Obama strategy is he takes this seriously. I mean, for too long, the public officials, the politicians, they sort of understated the scale, the depth of the economic crisis confronting our country. You know, George W. Bush said, let's give everybody a $500 tax credit, and if the chest pains continue, come back in the morning. It was absolutely wrong, and we would have had a much better opportunity to deal with this in a serious way if we had gotten started earlier. But Barack Obama has gotten started earlier. And he's given us a running head start with his economic stimulus plan. It's just remarkable. And he's going up against some real philosophical headwinds. You got to remember the hero of the Republican Party, Ronald Reagan. His favorite line used to be, what are the 10 scariest words in America? I'm from the federal government, and I'm here to help you. Well, they're not so scary anymore. A lot of my guys down there in Wall Street all of a sudden were showing up with a tin cup in their hand. They need a bailout right now, or else the financial system's going to seize up. And I'll tell you, maybe they're too big to fail, but there are an awful lot of Americans who aren't too big to fail. There are an awful lot of folks right here in Connecticut who are losing their jobs, or losing their homes, or losing their health care. And I'm really proud that President Obama is tackling this thing head on. And we've got to do everything we can to support him on this and support him on health care. And that's why we're here this evening, and that's why we've got to get everybody involved and active. Look, and I'll tell you, like Swanee said, he's not just putting money behind an issue. He's not just taking, biding our time until we get the economy back up behind us and we get things growing again. I mean, there's a lot of fundamental reforms that are part of this economic stimulus plan that's so important. You know, Swanee mentioned what you got on health care. It's not only for the health information technology work, it lays the groundwork for fundamental reform. It's also for the public health clinics in poor neighborhoods in our schools, so we can make a down payment on what real reform has got to be. You're looking at an energy efficiency, the tens of millions of dollars, so we can upgrade, the old World War II class housing in places like here in New Haven, where you can drive down the cost of heating your home in the winter, drive down our dependence upon foreign oil, and to drive down our need for global warming gases that are being created. But we got to go after these monies. We're a little staid here in Connecticut. When it comes to getting our return for every dollar we send back to Washington, D.C., we're near the bottom of the bucket. We're not active. We got to go after these monies. A lot of these monies are not automatic. A lot of these monies go to those states that are the most creative, most reform-oriented, most proactive, and we've got to take a head start on that. Look, I am so proud of what Barack Obama has accomplished in the last 100 days. And I contrast that with what I see, in Hartford, Connecticut. I mean, it was, about 100 days ago that our governor stood up before the legislature. And, here we are, we're a state that's been near the bottom of the heap when it comes to job creation. We're a state where our young people are leaving to start up families, and start up careers, and start up businesses elsewhere. We're a state that has the most extraordinary achievement gap, and our kids in the inner cities are falling behind. They're falling behind educationally. They're falling behind income-wise. And here we had a governor. She stood up for the legislature. She had a 75% approval rating. She was staring down the barrel of a $3.7 billion deficit. This was the opportunity to stand up. This is the opportunity to take a look at the leadership we see in Washington, D.C., and how can we take advantage of that here in Connecticut. Well, she said, let's turn out the lights when we leave the office. Let's cut back on our out-of-state travel. Let's keep the bar open a little longer at Foxwood to see if the slot revenues can pick up a little bit. She said, maybe we can raid the Clean Election Fund, something these guys work so hard to get started in this state, coming after the pay-to-play scandals that demonized us. She said, let's take some of that energy efficiency money. Let's borrow against that. Same time that we're trying to fix these houses. We can borrow against that. She said, well, I know what we'll do. Let's just shortchange the state pension fund. It's going to go bankrupt. It's the worst funded pension fund in the country right now, but it won't go bankrupt on my watch. It'll go bankrupt on somebody else's watch. And she said, frankly, I can't balance the budget. I give up. She walked off the stage and left it on the lap of, the Democratic legislators. And this was our time, and this still is our time. Now, this is a chance for all of us in this room to stand up. You look at what leadership is, you look at what's going on in Washington, D.C., and you look at the type of things we've got to get going with in Connecticut. And it's not too late. I'm going to do anything I can to help the legislature, help our governor, get together, get the stakeholders around the table, make the tough choices so we can get our state growing again. And it's not going to be easy. It's going to take some time, but we've got to start now. I love that story about Jack Kennedy. I'll just leave you with that. When he was sitting there in the Oval Office, and the sun was beaming in, it was getting really hot. And he called up the gardener, and he said, I want a shade tree right here. And the gardener said, well, it's going to take 20 years, Mr. President, before that shade tree makes any difference at all. And he said, well, I want you to plant it this morning. And I think that's where we are in Connecticut. That's where we are in this country, and I think Barack Obama has given us a fighting head start. It's great to be back with you all. Thank you.